Okay. Give
I,
me a second to get the live link.
Like,
I love.
I love how 6'7" and whatever other shit you have going on over here just doesn't work. You don't have kids running around going sick who.
Well,
It's actually
they
kind of funnier
should,
in
obviously.
Swedish.
I'll tell you something. Like, 6'7" has no meaning, and most of us did the same thing to our parents at some point with
Oh
something.
yeah, of course. I just love
It's
how
very much just a you don't know what it is.
yeah, it's we know something you don't know, like of
Yeah.
course.
I
But
know something you don't know. Yeah, speaking of knowing things that other people don't know, how about Team Canada freaking Team Canada World Juniors freaking the fuck out of the Sharks fan base.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Misa's not hurt, guys.
Yeah, he's still in his reconditioning sprint, guys. I mean, I don't know. I was like, dude, that sucks. But that's pretty fucking funny. Almost as funny, almost as funny as all the people going, you know what, guys? I think they should, like, next season give the C to Celebrini. No shit,
Should give it to
Sherlock.
him right fucking now.
Yeah,
Did
he
you not think
earned
that
it
was
this
what was
last
gonna?
game.
Not even that. Did you not think that would, like, they're saying it like, I think he's our new captain. Yeah, no shit.
Like he was our new captain last season.
He was our new captain when he was fucking drafted.
And well, I mean, we did need to actually see him play, but
did we?
Nah. Yeah.
Turns out we did. Turns out we really didn't.
You do. I think you need to see them play. I actually did Landeskog play any games before he got the captain at like 19 or whatever.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I don't think they just handed it to him. But I don't know for sure.
All right.
I don't remember.
You guys ready? We are recording. Yes, sir.
We are streaming to YouTuber.
Let's do it. All right. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Circling the Cup, San Jose Sharks podcast, episode number 226. And if you're wondering, guys, why are you potting this weekend? Did anything happen? Yes, something happened. And if you don't know, you turned away too early, you non-fan. The Sharks had their greatest regular season comeback probably in their history. And lots of other news, including the resurgence of Klingberg and also Team Canada. Why are you freaking everyone out? I'm Alex. Here with me as always, Honorable Ben. What's up, Ben?
Wait, what happened yesterday?
Yeah, well, a lot of things happened, Ben. We're going to find out all those things on the podcast. And probably already knowing what they are, because he's like ahead technically in the timeline, even though he's also equally behind. He's just between universes. Colin, what's up, Colin?
No, I'm definitely behind because I have to wake up to see what y'all did with my team.
Yes, true. Well, before we get to the juicy bit, which is the big comeback, I want to cover two things kind of real quickly that also happened this week. So first and foremost, a lot of Sharks fans freaked out a little bit that Misa might be hurt again because Team Canada for World Juniors said that he was still injured in kind of day to day.
He was day to day, right?
Yeah, I said he was day to day, right? Which fans were like, day to. What do you mean day to day? Why? Well, as Warsawski clarified, it's because he's still on his reconditioning stint in the AHL. So technically, he's not newly injured. He's
it didn't help.
Recovering.
It didn't help that the Barracuda didn't have him in the lineup either.
No, of course not. But it's just one of those things you look at, especially right now. I think a background topic for the San Jose Sharks, and really it has been a topic for the rest of the NHL, although it's been fairly dismissed by a lot of people, is injuries. We do have a condensed, front season right now because of the Olympics, which, good luck getting that ice ready in time. And so, and the Sharks are no strangers to this. They've had injuries, obviously Misa, they had, Mook is kind of in and out. Klingberg, it's kind of continued to come more into the light that he's still not fully recovered and is still working on adjusting his game. And they've had a lot of people kind of dipping in and out. Now, hockey's a very physical sport, so it's not super unusual. But when you're trying to have fun, watch the young guys kind of come up and the team kind of play well. It always sucks to see someone out. And Misa's one of those guys that, I think when you've got a young guy, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think fans have a tendency, if a young guy gets hurt, to very quickly start shifting the conversation to, oh no, are they made of glass? And it's like, oh, well, I mean, playing against full grown men, going to get bumped around a bit. Doesn't mean that they're going to be permanently injured, right? I'm not crazy in that thinking.
Well, I mean, not yet. We don't want any of our pieces
Always
to
the
get permanently
optimist.
injured. But
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it ended up being a non-issue at the end of the day, really.
We hope.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. For him, yeah. We haven't heard anything on the other side.
You say we hope, Ben, but I don't know what the benefit would be with Misa this season to really, be just super covert. I mean, obviously you don't want to invite people slamming into people, but I think with his situation between the contract situation, between World Juniors and all that kind of stuff, it's not like, I can see them doing that a little bit more with a guy like Will Smith or Celebrini or, Toffoli or someone else. But I think with Misa, he's kind of in this weird purgatory-ish season this year, again, partially because of the contract and the contract situation. But
well, yeah.
Go ahead, Colin.
Well, he's too good to be, with the kids outside of the big kid league, and he's not quite. I mean, we don't have the space, as you say, with the contracts, but I don't know. Like, I'm kind of happy to have him. From what I've seen from Misa, I'm perfectly happy to see him fully next season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would assume that would be the plan at this point. I think the question is whether or not they can get him enough development with the way that they need to handle the contract situation this year and him to get him in there. But again, I'll tell you what, seeing him in the AHL, he's definitely comfortable at the AHL level, more comfortable than the NHL level. It's a different pace, obviously. But I think that's their game plan, right? Klingberg had a little bit of a, I'm sorry, were you ragging on me resurgence this week with quite a few goals. Now, one thing to point out here is that first of all, there have been a lot of questions being directed towards the team specifically about Klingberg, and they are obviously all, immediately coming to his defense and stating, fans just don't necessarily understand all the things that he's doing and all the things that he's bringing just because it's not showing up on the stats. The other thing to point out, though, which Klingberg kind of came out and readily admitted in post-game interviews, is that he's still not 100%, and he's still trying to figure out how to adjust his game based off of, his hip situation. And I thought it was really interesting and really refreshing, to be honest, to hear a player say, yeah, like I need to adjust. I thought I was still, 20, younger, and I'm getting older, and this is harder to deal with. And so I need to do more to shift my game. I wasn't doing enough. And I recognize that. So it was very cool to kind of see a player, just talk about that a little bit more openly when asked, and to be, forthright with it. Now, whether or not he can do that and to what extent, that's obviously why we watch the games and see. But he did have a resurgence this week, guys. I think he, in some respects, answered some of the calls there. Was it 4 goals, 3 games? Did I have that number right? Am I off by
Sounds
one?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just interesting timing, I would say, because he has been the definite focal point of the Sharks fan base and some of the media in the last 2 weeks in particular. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? Go ahead.
I don't think there's been a strong indication up to the point where he seems to have gotten comfortable over the last 4 games that he was going to get here. I mean, he looked washed. And not just physically, but mentally, he didn't seem to have the speed of the game, sort of nailed. And to be, I'm not saying that to excuse, the criticism. If he has gotten back to form and this is what he's going to be, obviously I owe him a whole bunch of apologies for multiple tweets, because he's looked god awful. There wasn't anything suggesting that he was going to find his form. I am happy he did, up to this point. We'll see. I hope he can keep it up. I hope that, this means that he has figured out how to play effectively with 2 resurfaced hips. which
Yeah.
is not easy,
No,
obviously.
yeah.
But so you look at Penguins and you look at the Leafs. They're not the youngest teams in the league. They're like Klingberg. I think Klingberg looks good when he's playing against teams that aren't that fast. And
I mean,
like
yeah, maybe.
and
It's not like the
and
Sharks have
also
played nothing but
hockey.
world beaters though this year, right? Like
Yeah.
Well,
these aren't the
true.
first 3 games that Klingberg has struggled against everybody up to
Yeah,
this point.
yeah.
That's all I would say.
Yeah, and hockey is a streaky sport. Like
Yeah.
consistency is exceptional.
Mhm.
It's why you look at like Makar, McDavid, freaking McKinnon. Like you
All the
look
mix,
at the superstars, and they put up points regularly. Like they're a point per game, sometimes better, and that's amazing. And it's super fun to watch. And boy, oh boy, we happen to have one of those in the making. But I don't know. Like Klingberg is still not the person. I don't want him on this team in the playoffs. Like he's putting up points and he's looking better. Maybe some other team takes a flyer on him for like gives us a third or whatever. Cool.
I mean,
But
that is the
otherwise,
upside.
like,
Yeah,
that is upside.
I actually haven't had the biggest of issues with Klingberg himself as much as I think the Sharks, both in the signing and what they're giving him, but also in what they've said, is that, they have been really trying to shove him into that, power play 1 QB role.
Yeah.
And there's been enough time there to see that it hasn't really been working out. And so like when I see Klingberg play, a couple of things. I actually think skating wise, I think he's pretty good. Passing wise, I think he's pretty good. Shooting, this week maybe being a difference because he did shoot a lot better this week. But up till this point, I was like, I don't mind him at the point passing dishing the puck out to other players. I didn't love the shots he was taking, mostly because it's not because he couldn't get it on net. He could, but mostly because they were shots that were either easily going to get blocked or saved. But as far as like the skill set, I've kind of viewed him this season as sort of the opposite of Will Smith last season or Misa this season, which is basically the skills are there, but he's behind the game. And I think, again, he sort of admitted as much, which is great. I think if the Sharks were not pushing him the way that they've been pushing him publicly, I don't think I would mind it. Like for me, it's very different from like Leddy, where like I can't figure out what Leddy can do. Klingberg legitimately, listen, Klingberg does have some chemistry with Celebrini, and I know you can say everyone does, but really like they do play well together, and like he does have those skills. So I think for him, it's a question of how they're deploying him, how much they're deploying him, and then he has to be, to your point, Ben. I think mentally there and just playing a smarter game because again he's not a young buck in the same way.
He needed to move faster in most situations, and his passing I think hasn't been as good as it could be, in part also because he's maybe a step behind. I think he said it that physically he feels like he should be able to do things and that he isn't able to, right?
Yeah, I know
that is exactly what it looks like on the ice, right? He thinks I can zip this pass through, and then no, it's picked off because he's a step slow, right? Or I think I can walk this guy, oh no, I've been stripped, and off they go. But then of course yesterday he dog walked Sidney Crosby and OC. So
I need to check something. I need to check Crosby's minutes in that game because he looked dead on his feet when that happened.
And listen, like we're older gentlemen, and like I think we all probably hit that point in our lives where like mentally we're still at one point, and like you start waking up in the morning and you're like, oh, why am I or like you go for a run and you're like, this used to not be an issue. So I empathize with them. I'm excited that he's played well this week. I do hope that this is a turning point and not just a flash in the pan. And again, consistency will be key there. But if he, the good news is if he can do that consistently, the Sharks will start to look a little bit dangerous again. The bad news is if he does start doing that consistency, we could end up in that spot we don't want to be in at the end of the season, which is that didn't make the playoffs, didn't finish low enough, mediocre point. So
Boo.
I know
Well, we're in a playoff spot right now, so
yeah.
Yeah, I
Oopsies.
hate this. I
Well,
hate this so much.
I'm at the point where I don't necessarily hate it because I think that they can do a lot with trades and stuff in the offseason if they want to. Would I prefer to get one more high draft pick if I don't think this is a year? Yes, I would, but I don't actually have a major. They're pretty stocked. I don't have a major issue with them making the playoffs. I do have an issue with them doing neither. Like that's where I'm sort of like, look, if you wanna push and you want to get that wild card spot, okay, but then you do it. Because if you end up like 2 or 3 spots out of that, now you're getting nothing out of it. So
I mean, let's be clear though, right? Like they have no business being in a playoff spot.
No, they really don't.
Correct.
This isn't like the team built up to this point. It is
Right.
Macklin Celebrini willing this team, into contention because somebody broke his best friend.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah.
So,
I actually, the league gave us a beautiful metaphor simile of what us going into the playoffs would look like. I don't know. Did you guys see Noah Gregor try to fight Jamie Benn?
Yeah.
Like we would be Noah Gregor in that situation
Yeah.
going into the playoffs.
well, it's also kind of like Macklin Celebrini trying to fight Wotherspoon. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Eklund saved him. Eklund got in there
Yeah.
was like, no.
But I think we're aligned in that, like, look, either in or out, but don't.
Yeah, no, totally. I think our ideal is that the Sharks finish, bottom 5, right? That's what we want because that's probably where they should be, and that's one more really good piece for the future.
Yeah,
But-
and I would say, and not beyond this year. Like
Oh, no,
this is
no,
the
no,
last
no.
year that
Yes,
that I would be
correct.
okay with that, especially with the way they're playing, where they're fun again.
Yeah.
The room's good and they're competitive.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but clearly we don't have any control over that, and neither does GMMG because he's tried to weigh this team down with guys like fucking Vince Iorio and Mario Ferraro and Nick Leddy, and
Bro.
what we get instead is a team that is in the playoffs despite having a negative 14 goal differential. So-
Yeah, what's fun?
yeah,
What's
this is
funny
terrible.
is one of our listener, Dave's. I think it was Dave asked, or we were talking about this a little bit, and I don't I don't think I do think that the team has a lot of confidence in themselves, which is good to see. It is good to see because the Sharks haven't really been that team in like 6 or 7 seasons at this point. Like it's that locker room has not felt great. Now it feels like they're playing for each other. They're very confident, and we're going to get to a little bit of that in a second. But I don't necessarily think that that's caused Mike Greer to have any, delusions
Illusions.
of grandeur. Like,
No,
like,
no, no,
'cause
I don't think so
he-
either.
He's been very clear, even he was clear last season coming into this offseason that he was expecting this to be a build season. And then he was fairly honest about the fact that the salary cap moved up and pushed that out. So I think he continues to be on this sort of like, 3 to 4 year plan. Is he happy that they're doing well? Yeah, he's obviously happy
Probably.
that the franchise trying, like butts are getting in seats,
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. But like, is this his plan? No. Is he going to complain that they might be ahead kind of in some areas? No. But I don't think he's fooled at all. I think
it
they're
is.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Finish your thought, Alex.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the team feels like they can get into the playoffs. I think Greer probably thinks, sure, in the same way that we think, sure, you can will yourself in there, but that's probably what you're going to do. And he's going to continue trying to build and do what he was originally doing. I don't think he's off his plan at all.
Yeah, to that point, I think. Sorry, Colin, real quick, and then I swear to God, it's your turn. I just don't want to forget this. I think it makes a problem for Greer, right? Because if his plan was we get to the trade deadline and we do what we've done the last couple of years and we move out and Alex Wenberg for second round pick and we move out Nick Leddy for a 6-pack of beer and a 7th round draft pick, that gets really hard to do if the Sharks are sitting in a wild card spot at the time.
Fans are pissed. Room would be pissed.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work. And the thing that occurred to me, like especially with the Penguins game, for the last couple of years now, Alex, you've been pushing against my mad like tank theories and the specifically saying, organizations might tank, but players don't. And
Yeah.
that's what I see with this team. Now I'm like, oh, this is what it looks like when the players actually give a shit and are trying.
Well,
This is fun. I like this.
I think honestly, like culture is a big part of a locker room in a sport, and I think the Sharks took a lot of hard hits over the years, and I think they having Couture not be in the locker room, or not being able to be on the ice and being captain. I don't think helped. I don't want to like point fingers at just him.
I think it definitely helped.
I think in general though, like I think the vibe in the organization shifted and wasn't good for a while there, and I think now it's good. So let's talk about it, right? Because that leads into what happened pretty much yesterday, which is the Sharks had an incredible comeback. Now there are a couple of negatives coming out of this. Two big ones. One is
Nick Leddy.
Well, I'm not even going to talk about it anyway. One is, Khrushchev got injured in there, and then Will Smith. And Will Smith seemed to be the catalyst that sparked it. Now, the thing I will say about Will Smith was the response from my perspective, not just the comeback, but the immediate response from Eklund and Celebrini. I'm not a guy that advocates fighting. I'm really not. But I will say this: to see Will Smith go down and to see Celebrini's immediate reaction and Eklund's immediate reaction, which was to come over and try to protect him and immediately sort of respond. Again, that's another one of those things that, like, the Sharks the last couple of years have been pretty flaccid in that area. Like,
can I talk about, why I'm pissed off about that whole thing, by the way?
Sure.
That was an interference penalty that went uncalled.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Will Smith does not have possession of the puck. He is he doesn't expect to get hit because he doesn't have possession, right? He goes head down and stretches out his stick to try to get possession, and Wotherspoon sees it. Wotherspoon is looking at that, and instead of going for the puck as a non-shitbag would, he deliberately injures Will Smith, and there is no call on the ice.
But I think that's why there isn't a call. I think there isn't a call because Smith is reaching for the puck, and I think don't quote me on this, because I agree, Ben. I saw that and I was like, that just seems like a dirty play. The more I watch it, I still don't particularly like it. But I do think the rule covers that if it's within reach and you're pushing for it.
He wasn't in reach. He wasn't in reach. The rule says has possession of the puck. Does he have possession of the puck?
Yeah, but there's also the ref's discretion.
Well,
if it's one stride or 2 seconds, some nonsense.
There is none of that. The rule says possession of the puck. By rule, that is an interference penalty. I don't really care what how the refs interpret this, because it's the same bullshit that the refs are always doing.
Can I point out?
Can
I point out something incredible about this that is not getting reported? The incredible thing about this comeback that isn't getting reported is they do it without Khrushchev and Smith.
Right.
Now, so not only do they have to, and they didn't really run. I wouldn't say they ran short shifts at all, because they, when Celebrini wants to go out, you seem to just let Celebrini go out for as long as he wants. But in general, like, those are two pretty significant losses to this offense right now. The Smith thing, regardless of how it happened, the immediate reaction of two guys who are not usually that guy. You expect if Reeves is on the ice, he's gonna run someone. But Celebrini immediately sticking up, to me, was like, Celebrini and Eklund doing that showed a very large sign of leadership. I really hope Will Smith is done. But the best part about this, the other, I guess, positive coming out of this, obviously, is what the Sharks then did. And the weird thing about this, and Brody called it out, and I was thinking at the exact same time. My wife actually turned to me immediately. She called the Pavelski comeback, so she won't let me hear the end of it. She called this one immediately as Smith skated off the ice, and I was like, okay, well, I hope you're right on that one. Those two situations are so eerily similar.
Troublingly. Like, it's I don't like it.
Well,
I don't like that we need to have a beloved star get injured.
No, I know, but it's fascinating. No, but it is fascinating.
I mean, the emotions of it make complete sense.
Yes.
And that's what makes it so it's amazing. And I when the Sharks did this, when Pavelski got hurt in the playoffs against Vegas, I literally cried. That's how emotional that whole game was, the end of that game. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually was already upset when Pavelski went down because that
Right.
looked like a playoff ending injury
Yeah.
to him. Up until the point that he came back for the next game, probably with a concussion. But yeah, that's the drama. It's not surprising to me. I think that when you get these huge spikes of performance when you have this kind of aberrant thing happen.
Well, I think seeing again, talking about this locker room. I mean, I don't think it's been a mystery at all that these guys are playing for each other. But this is probably one of the biggest examples of them doing so. Everyone seemingly, for the most part, stepped up there. And I got to say, guys, we are so blessed to have Randy Hahn and Dan Rusanowski
Yeah.
because both calls were fantastic. And Randy Hahn added a lot to that experience from a fan standpoint. And
he goes
and Drew
so
too.
hard now.
And Andrew
Yeah,
too. But
I
it was one of those things where even if you sort of had that feeling like my wife did of like, they're going to make a push. It seemed like based off of how they were playing and how many points they were behind, it was the 4 goals. It was out of reach. There was like 12 minutes, 13, 12 minutes left. And then they just do it. And listen, it's funny to see some of the reaction coming out of this because there are a lot of fans who, I don't know if you guys were just asleep or what, because Celebrini has always pretty much been penciled in as the future captain of this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But, you could just see he and the other players just willing this win out of almost nowhere.
Except the guy. Oh, sorry, Colin. You please go ahead.
Well, I want to touch on what you said about Smith, how he lost the puck and put his head down. And the reality of this league is that means Smith made the mistake. Like he did the Cardinals. He did the thing.
He didn't have the puck, Colin.
And
if the guy puts his head down while they are skating with the puck or they're admiring their pass, I can almost excuse the blame the victim bullshit.
I actually,
no. I'm not
saying
he deserved to have that happen. I'm saying the reality of the league is that is a textbook you reach, I teach fucking hockey toxic moment. And like in that one horrible moment, because again, he had Wotherspoon had numbers, Wotherspoon had time. He could have just braced Smith and pinned him, which is
or gone
for the puck. But Wotherspoon isn't Sir Dangle a lot. He's a defender. He's gonna press the body against the board, to take Smith out of the play and let somebody better grab the puck. That's the hockey play. But Smith getting hit like that is first round playoffs. That is not called in the first round. The rest swallow their whistles. Anybody thinking this team has any business being in that blender, no. I hate that the rookies that come into this league have to either know this in their bones before they step on the ice, or they have to learn it. I hate seeing it anytime one of these kids gets destroyed like this, but this is the league, and the rest almost never call this, especially when it's a rookie, especially when it's a vet hitting a rookie.
Yeah, but
which
Smith's
is
not a rookie.
Yeah, isn't that right?
I mean, he hasn't paid his dues as far as the league is concerned, I'm sure.
I think this was a poor call on several fronts. To your point, Ben, I agree. I didn't like the hit at all. I think it should have at least been called as boarding, if not.
Yeah,
well, sure. Either is fine, but it was. Yeah. I still say it's textbook interference.
But the other thing too is that I think what bothered me about that hit was that when it first happened, it happened so quick that I thought, okay, Smith has possession, then he loses possession. And if the player had started the hit, then it's going to be tough for him to kind of back off. But when you watch it again, you can just see he had the option to play the puck.
Yep.
He doesn't play the puck. So, hopefully Will Smith is okay. That did not look great. He got right off the ice. You could tell he was in a lot of pain. And again, Khrushchev, I don't want to sweep that under the rug either, because you lose Smith and you lose Khrushchev. Those are two very large blows for this team for the next period of time. But again, the response, guys.
The response is good, but also not the fucking guy that this team signed to prevent this sort of shit, because of course we all know that actually running out
That
guys like
doesn't
Reeves
work.
doesn't actually prevent injuries. It actually increases injuries on the ice. There's studies that show it. Yeah, I want to take a moment here to talk about how guys were running Askarov the entire
Oh,
first period
Yeah.
repeatedly. Where the motherfucking fuck is Ryan Reeves in that situation? What do we have this guy on the ice for? I think Mantha, I think, was the guy who did it like 3 times in the first period. And there was that one moment where Reeves said hello to one of the defensemen. I don't remember who it was. It's like the broadcast team is like, and that's why you have Ryan Reeves.
for 6 minutes.
And it's like, no, that's not why you have Ryan Reeves. If you think Ryan Reeves is a magic bullet, Mantha should be on the ice somewhere.
Well,
right?
the Ryan Reeves thing only works if Ryan Reeves is on the ice in that, in general.
Exactly. But also, it's supposed to be intimidation A, right? So he should be revving that up early, especially if the other team is taking liberties with your goalie. And, Wotherspoon never faced any sort of retribution for what he
Yep.
did to Smith. And at the very least, Reeves should have been out there every other shift and right on top of that guy. If you believe that what he does is preventing guys from taking liberties with your own guys, which again doesn't actually work, but at least fucking pretend it does.
Well, it does work in a way when it's the entire team. Like Florida has shown, when it's the entire team going for the other team's throat and sticking up for each other and going straight to the dirtiest of dirt whenever you get a chance, it absolutely works, because they definitely intimidated a few of those teams through their last 2 cup wins. But like, it has to be everybody. And I hate saying this because I fucking hate this guy so much, but Wilson is that like prototypical power forward that every team kind of wants. Somebody who can score and also happens to be a monstrous piece of shit who will like ragdoll the smallest guy on the other team.
I got to be honest. I'm actually happy they didn't do that, and this is their response, because to be honest, this is a much better response. They absolutely humiliated Pittsburgh in front of their fans there, and at the end of the day, Ben, I mean, I'm in agreement with you, and again, do I think that intimidation factor is a thing? Yeah, I do. But again, the player has to be someone who can be on the ice enough for that to actually feel that way. If you have a player like Reeves, and I love Reeves in the locker room, so I'm not trying to like diss him here, but like if you're going to roll him out for like 5 or 6 minutes a game, that's not you're not going to get that effect at all.
It can't be one guy.
Yeah, I think Colin makes a good point there. I think what I said after Smith got hurt is, and I was being sarcastic about it, is that I'm sure Ryan Reeves is going to be great at consoling Will Smith in the locker room after this loss.
That's true, actually.
But I think I do in that instance, in that area, I do think, I mean, you can just see it. I think he's contributing a lot in that locker room leadership. Now, again, does that mean
yes?
Does that mean he would be my first choice? No, obviously, but credit where it's due. But again, I will say this. I think and this is what I liked about this response. I think when Smith went down, Eklund is celebrating having to be pried off of the Penguin was enough of a, hey, not effing cool. And then rather than them focus on just throwing bodies around, they instead focus on punishing them, on the scoreboard. Now,
I feel like you could have done both, though, right, Alex? Like that's all I'm saying.
Maybe, but here's the thing, Ben. Right? Because here's where I'll throw back, and I don't. In theory, I want to agree with that, but in principle, my concern, and especially with this team, is that they're going to be capable of doing one or the other, not both at the same time. I don't think they have the roster for that realistically. Yeah. So if they were to do that, I don't think we have the comeback at all.
Well, that's the thing, right? So if instead, like, Reeves isn't playing, we end up in the same place, except there's one more player who can actually play more than 6 minutes, right?
I'm saying we chose. Chose wisely.
Yeah, no. I think the scoreboard is the right way to pay. I'm with you. I'm just saying, like, they made no effort whatsoever to show that Reeves actually is what the org pretends he is, and that baffles me. because like then there's no reason to have him anywhere but as like an assistant coach. Fucking hire him as an assistant coach and move on
Yeah.
and bring up a player who can play.
Wait, what's Thornton's role?
Vibes, director of vibes.
President of Vibes or whatever.
Yeah.
He
You
can be
So-
the vice
so-
president of vibes.
Yeah, he can be the vice president of Vibes. Exactly.
Well,
Okay.
let's shift gears here because this is a
Yeah,
positive comeback here.
Yeah.
Like thoughts on this comeback. What'd you see? What'd you like? Obviously, everyone's gonna throw out the Klingberg breaking Crosby's ankles
Oh
for a
my
second
God.
there.
By the way, did you guys hear Celebrini go whoa on the ice?
Yeah,
No,
when
I did
Klingberg
not
did that?
hear that.
Well, you know what the
There is
best part? Do you know what the best part about that move is? If you watch that move, it's not so okay. So go back a week or two, right? Where Smith, actually intentionally like goes to pull a move. Like that's what
Yeah.
he's set to do. Klingberg, I don't think Klingberg. The funny thing about that is that move gets a lot of press, and it was awesome, especially who it was against. But I think that was more. He was like, "Oh, huh." And then moves.
Oh.
If you look at him, it's not like he was like down and set to like deep.
Right. Yeah.
No.
He just sort of like was like, I'm just gonna change the direction just a little bit, and then it just looks really cool.
No, I think because he put it through the triangle, like through Crosby's triangle, like the stick to the body, and like he did the toe drag through, like he did the move. It's just one old dude,
It was just so
old slower
casual.
player doing it to another old
It
slower
was
player.
it was so casual. That's what was
Yeah.
crazy. And I'll tell you what. Do you know what I loved about that goal more than that move? Was I loved what Celebrini did.
Yeah.
Because not only does Celebrini, get that pass from Klingberg. Now Celebrini, the goaltender's moving over. Celebrini can score there, and instead he takes the guaranteed goal by
Yeah.
dishing it back over to Klingberg with no hope of the goalie making a save.
Yeah.
And that play is such a smart heads up move. And just in general, I think watching the Sharks again, all of a sudden do that. I'm not saying that, Pittsburgh is in their their heyday right now, but like to go down 4 goals, down 2 key forwards and score 5 goals is like, holy crap. Awesome.
My favorite part of the Penguins game, though, because like when Crosby first started, I hated him. I thought he was bratty. I had lots of negative things to say. Over the last 10 years, I think Crosby is pretty fucking awesome. And watching this game and watching Crosby just look like he's doing beer league hockey, where he's just sort of gliding, scores a goal, and then looking at Celebrini and being like, huh, yeah, Celebrini is a lot like Crosby, where he reads the play, he uses his teammates, and he just puts himself where he needs to be, and it almost looks like he's there by accident. And I was getting giddy at times seeing the parallels between Celebrini and Crosby and just being like, oh, this is so good. This is so good. And then, of course, we win. Klingberg has the one shot that looked like it was just a softball toss to the upper corner. That shot made me laugh. Like that goal, you just felt it coming. You felt them just being like, okay.
Are you talking about the screen goal? I mean, Wenberg.
Yeah, exactly. Where
perfect
Wenberg's
position.
just looking like, please don't hit me, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. Like Wenberg looks so relieved when the puck goes by and doesn't clip him. And like that shot made me laugh because it did not look sort of laser beam that you'd expect, but it sort of flopped in there.
Do you know what made me laugh earlier in the game? Like literally, like chuckle, like a joyful chuckle, not a sarcastic chuckle. was when Erik Karlsson got called for the not dropping his broken stick, and I understood where he was coming from, but his argument was, well, he had his stick all the way up. He's like, I didn't know it was broken. I was like, you can just see him going like, I didn't know it was broken. I didn't know it was broken. It wasn't on the ice. I didn't know it was broken. And he was laughing through it. I started chuckling there. It was I don't know, a bit of a funny moment. But to all the Sharks fans out there who just had this realization after this game that Celebrini can will things into existence and should be captain. Yes, correct. He should be. And I think this is this type of play. Look, are they going to do this every game? No way. Like that's such an improv. It's amazing that our franchise has had basically 2 of these types of comebacks in recent memory, let alone in general. But the future's bright for the Sharks here. Like they have a lot of players who are younger. They have a lot of players who are capable of stepping up. U1EB. This roster right now, is it the future roster? Nope. There's going to be pieces that are gone. There's going to be new pieces that come in. But again, this is not, even though they were down at first, you can't ignore the fact that they were down by that much at first and really wasn't looking great. Fact of the matter is, we haven't seen a Sharks team play for each other like this, galvanize like this. And not only is it amazingly fun for us as fans, but it's incredibly encouraging for an organization that was literally trapped in the doldrums for years now. Like watching Warsofsky's in the locker room after that, going like, I've never been a part of a win like that, and laughing and joking with the players and stuff. I'm glad to have happy Sharks back, even if they're not winning as much as I want them. I feel like they're on that trajectory. I feel like they were already on the press's radar this season, especially because of Celebrini and Askarov. But now even more so. It seems like the NHL is all starting to turn their heads towards the Sharks and their future, which is really encouraging.
Yeah.
And it only took the murder of Will Smith.
Hey, be nice. But
you don't know. Like, he can come back and just have a little bump.
I mean, I hope not. Like that was ugly hit. But yeah. What's not ugly is, as you say, the vibe on this team, and like I be a bit of an asshole, I guess. I don't think this team could have these vibes if Couture hadn't gone into and retirement, injured reserve, because he was never good times, good vibes.
I don't know, because he's very heavily credited with being one of the driving forces in that Pavs comeback. But I would say this: I think it's way too hard to have a captain who is not going to be on the ice, and especially over a prolonged period of time. It's one thing if you're injured, and you're out for a couple of months, fine. But you can't. I think you got to have someone on the ice that is in that role and leading. And I know that the Sharks right now don't really have an official C out there, and they're kind of just doing it with the alternates. And the organization's been doing that for a while. I haven't been the biggest fan of that. I think it's silly. But that being said, I don't think Couture would have been in the position to do it. He wouldn't have been on the ice in that scenario. Like he wouldn't have been in the locker room in that scenario.
Even if he was healthy, I don't think I would have wanted him on this team. And I'm not saying he didn't put up effort. I'm not trying to say his play is bad, because Couture always showed up. I think the biggest problem that this franchise had coming out of Thornton era was coming out of the Thornton era, like actually getting over the fact that the window is shut and turning that next page. And now that we're in the new book, yeah, we're thrilled. It's awesome. Just don't go to the playoffs.
You have to move on at a point. And I don't necessarily fault Couture, who played really hard. I would say the same probably about Hertl right now too. I don't think you have this team if Hertl's here. And I love Hertl, but I think it has to do with, like, the Sharks needed, to your point, Colin, they just needed to move on and refresh and other than Goodrow and Ferraro, technically, like, they've been able to do that by bringing in top-notch guys like Nick Leddy. And
oh god, like here's the thing that I truly hate about our defensive core and like guys like Nick Leddy. Like, where Ben's asking, where was the pushback? Where was like the actual physical pushback from having our players go down? And to me, that always needs to start from the defense. Like, the defense needs to just batter the opposing offense whenever they try to like enter the zone or they try to get into board battles or whatever. And our defense, our hardest working defensive players are like Celebrini and Eklund. And I would add Dickinson. Guys like Leddy should be throwing something out there.
I would add Dickinson to that. Dickinson may not be physically up to the board battle stuff all the time, but he's certainly engages and works hard.
Yeah,
Um,
he's showing he's quiet. Like you have to look for him. And it's nice that when you look for him, he tends to be where he needs to be doing the things he needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you were looking for Letty to be the one to deliver the response, I got some bad news. I don't think that was
Oh,
going to
no.
happen.
No, like nobody in our defense has any grit.
Right. So we had a couple of games that went on this week here, and obviously that being the one that erased memory of all the other ones. But the Sharks did
No.
beat the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 4-1. They had goals from Colin Graf. This is when the Klingberg resurgence sort of appeared. He scored, Wennberg scored, and Celebrini scored. And Celebrini's, also got 2 assists in that game. So Celebrini, the success of the Sharks does still very much tend to hinge on whether or not Celebrini is getting points in that game and how long Askarov or Ned can kind of keep him into it. Any thoughts on this game before we move on to the next one?
I mean, it was nice to not get blown out by Carolina this time.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'll say that.
Yep.
Well, it's funny you say that because then the Sharks lose 4-1 to the Philadelphia Flyers. They did get a goal there, though, from Colin Graf and an assist from Klingberg and Smith as well. So again, Colin Graf, I love Colin Graf. He's young, he's smart, and he's exciting. I hope they're not angling to flip him at the deadline.
Oh, why would they?
He's definitely one of those guys where, you kind of have these guys that are going to be absolutely untouchable. And then you're going to have these guys who you're not intending to move. But
I don't see there being any chance that a guy who's 23 and also not super heralded, let's be clear. Like if other teams are looking at our roster, they're looking at Alex Wennberg.
Yeah.
Right. They're looking at a guy who slots in as one of the best third line centers in the league on a cup contender. Right. They're not looking. I mean, maybe they're looking at Graf, but I don't think Greer's done. I'm
just saying, Ben. I would hope not, but we did just see a blockbuster trade between Vancouver and Minnesota, where I wouldn't have thought they would have traded Bouillon. Well, what I mean? So
but Vancouver is.
But that's different. That's such
a terrible situation where like the guy's like, I want to play with my brother, and Vancouver's like, fuck, we don't have his brother. And then, are you sure you won't re-sign here? Because look at this, and then they're Vancouver's gesturing wildly at the trash fire that their organization has become over the last year.
Yeah,
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying Colin Graf is the focal point of anyone at the moment in terms of trades. What I'm saying is, you do have these guys who are younger 20. So you do want to hold on to, but you do when you see trades, at that trade deadline. Some of those guys oftentimes get packaged to get what you want. I'm hoping he's not one of them. Is what I'm saying.
If we get Noah Dobson for Colin Graf, I'm okay with that.
I think, Alex, if it was next year and we were trying to find one of the top 3 players at a position in the league to push the Sharks forward, then yes, Colin Graf could go out. Eklund could go out.
Yeah.
Hey.
What I'm saying is that I'm going with the mindset that the Sharks are still sellers this year, and I don't think Graf moves in a Sharks or sellers situation. I think Wennberg and Letty, God please Letty, or like Klingberg if they can get him to.
Well, no one's going to want Letty.
No, I know. Nobody should have wanted CC.
That doesn't mean you can't move them. I was going to say, it doesn't mean you can't move them. But again, that's all I'm highlighting. I'm not saying I think they're going to do that. I'm just highlighting that, like, you have a guy like that who is under the radar, that those players traditionally are very good candidates for those type of situations, mainly because, you're still looking at what they're. Now, I think Colin Graf is rock solid and is only going to get better. So that's why, for me, he wouldn't be a guy that I would package in that. But I can certainly see scenarios where it doesn't even have to be a top 3 necessarily. If it's going to improve your team, obviously the question becomes, do you do that if it's in a package, if it's a sweetener or what it is?
It would be a huge mistake to
agree
to move Graf, because specifically I look at Graf as a guy who, okay, I know you guys are going to scoff at this, but the way he plays reminds me of young third line Pavelski.
Nope, I agree.
Yeah, I see
So
it.
I cannot. I mean, I think I might just. I might cry if they moved Graf because of what I think his potential is.
Agree.
Yep.
And
I
and
thi-
I was mad when they moved him off the first line after
Yeah.
2 games in
Yeah.
which he was 2 games in which he was successful, and a third game in which everybody was stifled. Because he looked natural with Smith and
Yeah.
celebrating. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now.
Well,
Well-
that fast moving game is what benefits him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he seems to be smart, like in reading the play.
Yep.
Again, like the way he inserts himself in the passing lanes and somehow seems to be invisible, even though he's like 6'3". Like he's a big guy, and all of a sudden he just manifests out of nowhere and strips somebody of the puck. In the
He
neutral zone.
bodied Crosby in the
Yeah,
first period yesterday and stripped him. And
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby also was like, "Who the fuck was that?"
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Like and I think that's why I think that's why I didn't mean to make a whole discussion out of it, but I think that's why I kind of brought it up because there's an advantage and a disadvantage to youth in that regard, right? Because a lot of times when you are when you are trying to get over the edge of a trade or whatever, you need a sweetener. It's a lot of times it is that young guy. And I hope that they are not even considering that with him at all. Should those asks come in, because I do think he's a future. I do think he's a present and future piece. I think he's played that way.
He should be.
Yes,
he should be.
But okay, so Alex, you've touched on something that how to ask this. Does Greer's trade history make you think that if there was a trade involving Graf, that we are actually benefiting from that trade? Because I don't love,
like, you know, like I'm packaging 50 players for another 49 players.
I mean, that's the thing though, right? Like
Yeah.
Greer's trades aren't these like amazing, just super brain moves. They've almost all been expediency and opportunism.
Yeah.
I think the question is more whether or not the Sharks organization. So again, when you're looking at players, you have players who are, when you're looking at trades, especially, you have players that are straight untouchable. Those are lock guys. Like you're not moving Smith, you're not moving Celebrini, you're not moving Askarov. You're like extremely unlikely to move Dickinson. Like there are players like that. Then you have the next rev. It's sort of like 4 quadrants. You have guys you're definitely not going to move. You have guys that you're extremely unlikely to move. You have guys that might be movable for the right price as a chunk. And then you have guys that you absolutely want to get off your hands. And I think the question is, do the Sharks view, and I think the way they're rolling them out now, I would mostly say yeah. And also his connections to Greer and stuff, I would mostly say yeah. And the fact that they pulled him in the way that they pulled him in the first place. But the question is, how settled are they on him being a future core piece or not? If he's not a future core piece, then anyone who's not a future core piece is technically movable. I don't think you touch your core pieces unless it's like, insane. And maybe bringing up that Hughes situation was the wrong one, because that was a pretty insane situation there.
I think there are 2 guys.
I don't know.
If we just think about the team that the Sharks have, there are 2 guys that I think other teams call after that are not Graf. I think it's Skinner and I think it's Kurashev, and I think neither of those guys is untouchable.
Right.
Right.
Or
I think it would be insane for the team to move on from a 23-year-old guy like Graf who is developing. It would be insane.
Yeah.
Like Graf is, if he actually turns into what I think we all think he might be, he is the quintessential third line forward. Like he is that person who actually, he's a better Goodrow.
He's a far better Goodrow.
But I'm saying when Goodrow was young and actually was trying. Though he was trying a bit in these last few games. It was really funny to watch.
I think Graf is the guy who's better than that. Yeah, I agree. I think he has a breakout season at any moment.
Yeah, I think Graf is a 0.5 to 0.75 point per game player in his prime, and Goodrow was never even close to that.
Yeah.
I think Graf can absolutely be that with the right teammates. I don't think Graf is the person who brings that by himself.
No, he's not necessarily a play driver, but he's a guy who thrives with play drivers.
Yeah,
and he's a defensive nightmare.
Yeah,
and
he's a
being
fucking
able to
demon.
Yeah, he's great.
Anyway.
He's an intelligent player.
Yeah.
So moving on here though, Sharks had 2 more games, one of which we covered. The other one we didn't cover, which is the Sharks beat the Maple Leafs. So sweet. Those tears are so sweet by a score of 3-2 in overtime. Goals. If you had Orlov scoring a goal against the Maple Leafs on your bingo card, I'm calling you
Such
a
a
liar.
pretty goal too.
Yes,
First
and,
goal,
assists,
too, right?
and assists with Klingberg and Wenberg on there. Then Klingberg goes, "Remember me? I'm still here." Scores again with Wenberg. Wenberg was all over assists this week, I feel like.
He was
Yeah.
God,
And
insane.
Wenberg scores the overtime game winner with an assist from Eklund. So
Yep.
3-2. It looks like Mitch Marner was all the Leafs' problems. I'm glad they got that figured out.
jeez. Yeah,
then-
beating the Leafs is fun just because of the reactions and all the media you
Oh,
get
yeah,
to
it's
enjoy
great.
for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watching the meltdown and then watching the Penguins meltdown next was even better. So Sharks, we're not going to go over all the goals in the game because you already know what happened here. But Tyler Toffoli actually opened scoring for this game. So the Sharks were up by 1 and then just kind of let Pittsburgh walk all over them until that third period when Klingberg scores and then Eklund scores and then Macklin Celebrini scores and then Tyler Toffoli scores again and then Klingberg scores again. And holy crap. Come back. I don't know how you do it. We already talked about this game, so I don't want to go too deep into it. 3 stars of the week, guys. Who are your 3 stars? There's at least one that had better be on everyone's 3-star list.
Uh-oh.
Hmm.
Who wants to
Can I
go?
go?
Go.
Did you say no?
Yeah, I said go.
Oh, go. Okay. So I'm probably not. I mean, if obviously Celebrini's got to be on the list, I'm sure. But so I'm going to give my 3 stars to third star to Wenberg because man, is he pumping up his value as a trade piece this week. Insane. Second star, actually, I'm going to give to Tyler Toffoli just for yesterday. 2 goals, 2 assists. Holy shit. And first star, John Klingberg. Ha! No Celebrini. What are you gonna do about it, guys?
Yeah, I know.
I
Crazy.
owe John Klingberg so many apologies. So yeah, first star for Klingberg. Let's go.
Yeah, I definitely have Wenberg as my 3rd star. I definitely have Klingberg as my 1st star. I don't really know how you don't at this point. I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and go with your stars all the way up and down the order. I think that was a good call there, Ben.
You know what? Because Celebrini, you could do better.
Well, also, well, not just that, but like Toffoli. Toffoli's been another guy that's gotten quite a bit of criticism this year for just not being as point happy as he was last season, and again this week kind of picked it back up. So great call, Colin.
Well, thanks.
Colin's like, I hate all these players. I'm going to do something crazy.
Well, I was
Colin's
thinking
like,
I'd do something
Dmitry
crazy.
Orlov, 3rd star.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I mean,
man.
hey, credit for
Oh,
his
now that you're
first
teaching me,
goal
I'm gonna
assist.
do it.
Sweet.
So Carey Price is getting my 3rd star because I
Jesus.
love how anytime his name comes up for any sort of stats record or anything now, it's a Sharks emblem next to it.
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought it was hilarious.
When do you think we put his roster or his jersey number up in the rafters?
I know we have to. We have to just to piss off the Quebecois. Come on. Yeah, like those stat lines with Carey Price as a Shark, just it's so much fun. And then 2nd star is gonna go to Eklund because as much as like I was holding my breath when he dove head first into the scrum
Yeah.
to get the puck. I hate to say it, but that's exactly what we've been asking him to do.
Yes. Yep.
So like
He scored a big
and-
goal, you guys.
yeah, and he was jumping into the mess on Wotherspoon.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my God, that guy just continues to, and he's
I love him.
so baby faced, and he's turning into this full-fledged like just badass hockey player. It's weird. And then I'm gonna give 1st star to Wenberg. Like
Okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't love his forehand backhand. Let me like make some cookies and milk before shoving this puck in the net and getting stopped by Seelovs. But like he has been so good for us. I almost don't want to trade him. Like even though he'd be so like we probably get a really good return. I don't know. Maybe we hold on to him. Maybe he's our third line center next year, and we actually go to the playoffs with him. Like,
I don't necessarily
not?
have a problem holding on to him. I think we do, guys. We do need to give an honorary star though to Graf because we did talk about him quite a
Yeah.
bit, and he did have a phenomenal week.
Really
It was
good
just-
week.
It was just a little overshadowed by two guys who needed to have good weeks even more than he did and did, except had exceptional weeks, and Wenberg, who's just been so great and consistent that it's tough not to give him one. We got some games coming up here, guys. Well, actually, let's talk about where the Sharks are in the standings. As of right now, they are in that wild card spot. Now, they do have a game in hand, sometimes 2 or 3 games in hand over several teams. So it is something to be aware of. Watch those games in hand. They are important. But they're up there, 35 points behind the Oilers and that who have the first wild card spot. Overall, where does that put them in the division? Well, puts them in 5th place overall in the division. They're 1 point away from those Edmonton Oilers and 2 points away from the Kings. So other than the Knights slowly starting to break away, and then the Kraken, Calgary, and Vancouver starting to sink, that the upper middle of the Pacific is fairly wide open, which is pretty crazy to see. And then conference wise, they are down in again 8th spot, so they're in there right now. And then league wise, they're in 19th, so pretty far out of that top 10 draft pick as of right now. But we will see. Again, this is a team that is not a complete team yet, so as fun as they are to watch and as encouraging as it is, there is a streakiness factor to it. So enjoy it because it's only going to continue to go up from here. But just be aware that's also what it is. As long as you stay reasonably grounded, it's not being pessimistic, you should be good. You can subscribe to this podcast on the Apple's podcast app. You can, Android people, I don't know, go to Spotify, figure it out, or check us out on the web at circlingthecup.com. Of course, Facebook is facebook.com/circlingthecup. Ben, I'm not even going to label the other stuff, but on the tweets is at Circling the Cup. Opinions of Ben, but Colin and I probably
It's me.
agree
I troll a lot. I'm not going to get you guys in trouble for that.
Oh, great. Nice. I like that you use the handle that sounds like it represents the entire podcast group. Well done, jackass.
You can't stop me. You can only hope to contain me.
Yes. And of course, our Discord. We appreciate everyone who listens. And of course, feel free to write us in. We're happy to answer questions. Guys, crazy comeback week. Lots of fun to be had. Say goodbye.
We're 1 point behind the Oilers.
No, they made a trade, Ben. They're going to go way up now.
Oh,
that
is
insane.
Stan Bowman sucks.
Especially when you look at the Hughes trade, and it's like that Vancouver had to make that trade, and they actually did rather well by it.
I'd agree.
The Oilers just go and shit their own bed.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to throw one thing out. If NHL players do end up at the Olympics, if Canada doesn't put Celebrini on that roster, they are high as kites.
Agreed.
I don't know. Go look at the updates of that arena. I don't know if I want any Sharks in that.
No, listen, I agree with that. I agree there too, Colin. I'm just saying, if they do play and they didn't put him on that roster, they're idiots. That's all I got to say. Yeah.
I mean, and then arena collapse happens, and we're happy.
Jesus Christ, Colin, just say goodbye already.
It'll probably just kill the Latvians.
I mean, I guess arena collapse is a way to say goodbye.
Bye-bye. All right, I gotta get going, guys.
Sorry, we kept you long.
No, you're good. All good.
All right.
I'll talk to you guys later.
See you guys.